In the complex world of Hollywood, where fame and spirituality often intertwine in unexpected ways, few names generate as much debate as Mel Gibson. The Australian director and actor, known for his controversial approach and deeply held religious convictions, recently teamed up with spiritual leader Murari Emanuel for a discussion that shook the foundations of contemporary religious discussion. Together, they explored what they see as an unprecedented crisis at the heart of the Catholic Church, the institutional corruption of the Vatican. Gibson, whose career in Hollywood has been marked by both film success and personal controversy, has never hesitated to express his religious views. His 2004 masterpiece, The Passion of the Christ, not only became a cultural phenomenon, but also established Gibson as an influential voice in the dialogue between film and spirituality. During the conversation with Emanuel, Gibson revealed the deep motivations behind his decision to create the film, explaining that his intention was to illustrate the sacrifice of Christ through a personal experience that could offer people a new theological perspective. The discussion between Gibson and Emanuel transcended the cinematic realm to address fundamental questions about the nature of faith versus institutionalized religion. Emanuel, renowned for his deep theological knowledge and scholarly perspective on church history, brought an intellectual dimension to the debate that perfectly complemented Gibson's artistic passion. Together, they explored the crucial distinction between organized religion and personal faith, arguing that true spirituality transcends institutional structures and manifests itself through humility and a direct connection with the divine. One of the most powerful points of his talk was his reference to Desmond Doss, the Seventh-day Adventist soldier who became a symbol of unwavering faith during World War II. Gibson, who later directed the film Hacksaw Ridge about Doss's life, used this historical figure to illustrate how true faith can manifest itself regardless of specific religious denominations. Doss, who served as a combat medic without bearing arms, demonstrated extraordinary courage that Gibson attributes not only to personal conviction, but to a genuine connection with a higher power. Gibson and Emanuel's critique of the Vatican is not based on superficial observations, but on a deep historical analysis of the transformations the institution has undergone over the centuries. They argue that the Vatican, which has long served as a spiritual beacon for more than 1 billion Catholics worldwide, has gradually shifted away from its original mission of spiritual guidance to become an entity more concerned with political power and secular influence, immense authority that transcended geographic and political boundaries. Its decisions shaped not only religious practice, but also influenced significant historical events, from the spread of Christianity in Europe to the establishment of policies that affected entire civilizations. However, Gibson and Emanuel note that with this immense power came an equally great responsibility, a responsibility that they believe has been compromised by outside influences and worldly ambitions. The conversation revealed specific concerns about what they perceive as the infiltration of secular ideologies into the structure of the church. Gibson expressed his frustration with what he sees as a shift away from traditional Christian values, arguing that current church leadership is more interested in maintaining political relevance than preserving the purity of the spiritual message. This perspective reflects a broader concern among conservative Catholics who feel that their church is becoming unrecognizable. Emanuel contributed a valuable historical perspective, contextualizing current concerns within a broader panorama of challenges the church has faced throughout its history. He highlighted how modernity and the increasing secularization of society have created unique pressures on traditional religious institutions, forcing them to navigate between preserving ancient traditions and the need to remain relevant in an ever-changing world. The discussion also touched on recent scandals that have shaken the faithful's trust in the church's leadership. Both Gibson and Emmanuel expressed deep sadness over instances of corruption and misconduct that have tarnished the reputation of an institution that should serve as a moral example. They argued that these incidents are not isolated aberrations, but symptoms of deeper systemic problems that require fundamental reform. Gibson, reflecting on his own spiritual journey, shared how his personal experiences led him to question not faith itself, but the human structures that claim to represent it. His cinematic approach, characterized by brutal honesty and a refusal to sugarcoat difficult truths, reflects this same attitude toward institutional critique. He seeks not to destroy faith, but to purify it, removing the layers of corruption and politics that obscure its essence. The conversation between Gibson and Emmanuel represents more than an institutional critique. It is a call for a spiritual renewal that transcends denominations and organizational structures. They propose a return to the fundamental principles of Christianity, emphasizing the importance of humility, service to others, and direct connection with the divine, independent of institutional mediations. While Gibson and Emmanuel were questioning traditional religious structures, another drama was unfolding in the world of American celebrities, involving one of the most influential figures in the world of media, Oprah Winfrey. The presenter, who for decades built an empire based on her image as a spiritual mentor and defender of the oppressed, found herself at the center of a storm of criticism that questioned the authenticity of her public persona. This controversy took on unexpected dimensions when respected figures such as Keanu Reeves and the controversial comedian Cat Williams publicly positioned themselves against her. Cat Williams, known for her blunt language and willingness to confront the most powerful figures in Hollywood, has launched a series of devastating accusations against Oprah. According to Williams, behind the carefully constructed facade of kindness and wisdom lies a woman who uses her power and influence to manipulate narratives and protect her own interests, often at the expense of others. These allegations did not come out of nowhere. They echo suspicions that have been whispered in Hollywood circles for years, but that few have dared to voice publicly due to Oprah's immense power in the entertainment industry. What made these criticisms particularly striking was the unexpected support from Keanu Reeves, an actor universally respected for his humility and integrity. Reeves, who traditionally avoids controversy and rarely speaks out on hot-button issues involving his colleagues, surprised everyone by validating the concerns raised by Williams. This public stance by Reeves was interpreted by many as a sign that the problems with Oprah were more serious than they seemed, given that he would hardly risk taking on such a powerful figure without substantial grounds. The central criticism leveled at Oprah revolves around the claim that she projects a public image of empathy and social justice while acting in a calculating and sometimes harmful manner behind the scenes. Several specific incidents have been cited as evidence of this discrepancy. One of the most notable cases involved rapper Ludacris, who appeared on Oprah's show to promote a film, but later claimed that his words were edited in such a way as to distort his opinions and make him appear to endorse views that did not represent his true beliefs. Ludacris described how he felt manipulated by the show's production team, explaining that he had come on specifically to discuss his film work, but Oprah instead steered the conversation toward controversial aspects of his music career. Even more troubling was the fact that during editing, his answers were cut and rearranged in a way that completely changed the context of his statements. This incident raised serious questions about the show's editorial practices and the lengths to which Oprah was willing to go to create narratives that served her personal agenda. Another case that generated significant controversy was Oprah's involvement with the documentary Leaving Neverland, which revisited allegations of sexual abuse against Michael Jackson. Critics pointed out the inconsistency in her approach, noting that Oprah had interviewed Jackson in the past and publicly praised the artist. When Jackson passed away, she initially maintained a respectful stance towards his legacy. However, years later, she decided to give a prominent platform to accusers who had previously retracted their allegations and admitted to lying about the alleged abuse. This change of position raised questions about Oprah's true motivations. Rose McGowan, an activist and actress who became a prominent voice in the Me Too movement, was particularly critical, accusing Oprah of being selective in her activism and supporting an unhealthy power structure when it served her personal interests. McGowan highlighted the apparent contradiction between Oprah's public support for victims of sexual abuse and her historical friendships with controversial figures such as Harvey Weinstein. The situation was further complicated when allegations emerged about Oprah's behavior regarding issues of fair pay. Actress Taraji P. Henson, known for her role in Empire, has subtly addressed issues of pay disparity while appearing on projects associated with Oprah. While Henson was careful with her words, avoiding direct confrontation, her frustration was palpable when she discussed the importance of fair compensation for work performed. Her statements were interpreted by many as an indirect criticism of Oprah's practices as a producer. The most recent and perhaps most damaging incident for Oprah's reputation involved her response to the devastating wildfires in Maui, Hawaii. When tragedy struck the island, destroying entire communities and displacing thousands of residents, Oprah made a public appeal for the public to donate money to aid the recovery efforts. This appeal was met with widespread skepticism, considering that Oprah has a fortune estimated to be in the billions of dollars and substantial properties in Hawaii itself. Jason Momoa, a Hawaiian actor and fierce advocate for indigenous peoples' rights, was particularly vocal in his criticism of Oprah's approach. Momoa argued that instead of asking for donations from the public, a person with Oprah's wealth should be leading relief efforts with her own resources. He also expressed concern that in the midst of the crisis, Oprah had acquired additional properties in the region, potentially contributing to the displacement of native communities that were already struggling to recover from the disaster. These accumulated criticisms paint a complex picture of a public figure who, her detractors say, carefully cultivates an image of wisdom and compassion while operating in ways that often contradict those values. The central question is not necessarily whether Oprah is fundamentally evil, but rather whether the immense power she has amassed has corrupted her in ways she herself may not fully recognize. Amid the turmoil that is shaking up the established structures of Hollywood and the media, a figure emerges who represents the antithesis of these dramas, Caitlin Clark. At 22, this young athlete from Des Moines, Iowa, has not only redefined what it means to be a college basketball star, but also set new standards for what an athlete can achieve both on and off the court. Her meteoric rise from a teenager practicing shooting on local courts to becoming the first pick in the WNBA draft illustrates a narrative of dedication, exceptional talent, and authenticity that stands in dramatic contrast to the controversies that dominate other sectors of American entertainment. Caitlin Clark's story begins on the quiet streets of Des Moines, where she spent countless hours honing her skills in not only basketball, but also golf. This early athletic diversification proved instrumental in developing her versatility and competitive mindset. Her father, recognizing his daughter's athletic potential, gave her her first set of golf clubs when she was in elementary school, all pink, a memory she cherishes to this day. These early golf experiences not only developed her coordination and accuracy, but also cultivated a patience and mental discipline that would later prove invaluable in her basketball career. Caitlin's personality off the court reveals a surprisingly well-rounded young woman who understands that life transcends sports. Despite her intensely competitive nature on the court, she maintains a playful and light-hearted outlook in her everyday interactions. Her friends and teammates often comment on her infectious sense of humor and her ability to bring lightness to tense situations. "They would probably say I'm super silly," Caitlin admits when asked how others perceive her. "I always make jokes, and sometimes people don't get it. But when I'm on the court, I'm competitive and passionate. And off the court, I understand that there's so much more to life than just basketball. This balanced philosophy is reflected in her daily routines and diverse hobbies. During the off-season, Caitlin can be found at local golf courses, often competing in informal games with members of her team, coaches, and even administrative staff. Her competitive nature shines through even in these recreational activities, turning casual matches into intense competitions. "I obviously do it for fun," she laughs, "but to be honest, I'm super competitive. We always play doubles, always trying to be the best we can be." Caitlin's success quickly transcended the boundaries of college sports, setting new records and standards for women's basketball. Her ability to shoot from distance with stunning accuracy, combined with exceptional game vision and natural leadership, has turned her into a phenomenon who draws crowds and media attention in a way rarely seen in women's college sports. Her impact has been so significant that she became the first athlete, male or female, to be dressed by Italian fashion house Prada for an NBA or WNBA draft, an accolade that transcends sports and enters the realm of popular culture. Caitlin's rise to stardom coincided with a pivotal moment in women's basketball when visibility and financial support for female athletes were beginning to reach new heights. Her deal with Nike not only secured her financial stability, but also set a precedent for future female athlete deals. "Because of my deal with Nike, now everyone wants cars from me," she jokes, demonstrating how she takes the financial pressures that come with success in stride. Despite her growing fame and lucrative opportunities, Caitlin maintains a genuine connection to her roots. She continues to return to Des Moines regularly to play golf with her family, a tradition she considers essential to keeping her grounded. "My dad and older brother also play, and for me it's super fun," she explains. "We're very competitive people, and we love to compete, whether it's basketball or golf. It adds an element of fun to everything." Her daily routine reflects a balanced approach to life as a professional athlete. During the high school season, she kept a rigorous schedule, waking up between 8 and 8:30 a.m., depending on when she had classes, sometimes tackling classes at 8 a.m. Now, with more flexibility in her schedule, she admits she's been taking advantage of the rest, sometimes sleeping until 9 or 9:30 a.m., though she feels a little guilty, like "I'm wasting the day." Caitlin's multifaceted personality is revealed in her diverse tastes and everyday preferences. She is an avid fan of television series, particularly teen dramas such as Outer Banks and One Tree Hill, the latter being his favorite series of all time because it combines basketball, romance, and high school drama. This preference for entertainment that combines sports with human narratives reflects his own understanding that athletic success must be complemented by emotional connections and rich life experiences. Her eating habits and culinary preferences also reveal a young woman who, despite her athletic discipline, maintains an uncomplicated approach to life. "I'm not really a picky eater," she admits. "I don't like mushrooms or anything too fancy. I stick to the basics, but I'm generally not picky and will eat pretty much anything." After games, her go-to meal consists of chicken and pasta and a big glass of chocolate milk, a simple combination that illustrates her unpretentious nature. Caitlin's relationship with music also differs from conventional expectations. For an elite athlete, contrary to what many might assume, she prefers calm music during her pre-game warm-ups. This will probably surprise a lot of people, but I actually prefer calm music when I'm getting ready for a game. I'm already very excited and focused, so I don't need any extra stimulation. I tend to go for country music. It's not super slow. It's not like I'm trying to fall asleep, but it also doesn't pump me up any more than I already am.